So I've been using virtual machines in Azure for a while, and it's a great option. My favorite part about it is how easy it is to expose virtual machines in Azure to the public intranet, which that can be really useful for a number of testing scenarios. So it's been a great resource. I'm able to use it because as part of my MSDN subscription, I'm provided with a number of a credit, a monthly credit. But the only issue is that the credit is approximately enough to cover virtual machines that are running for the full month, so long as those virtual machines are running only during working hours, so approximately 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's been about enough. The credit has been enough to cover that. And that works out great as long as I remember to start my virtual machines in the morning and then stop my virtual machines at the end of the day. Unfortunately, I've forgotten to stop my virtual machines a number of times, so they run overnight. Even one case they ran over the weekend, and that caused me to overrun the monthly credit that I have as part of my MSDN subscription. So a colleague of mine, Rob Horton, caught wind of that recently and directed me to this blog post that I'm showing, which walks you through the process where you can configure what's called a runbook in Azure, and that runbook will run a PowerShell script. It's actually called a graphical PowerShell script. There are graphical PowerShell scripts and, I guess, non-graphical PowerShell scripts, and that this walks you through configuring a graphical PowerShell script as part of your runbook, which can be used to automatically stop your virtual machines. So configured that a couple of weeks ago. It's been awesome. I configure mine to run at 6 p.m., which is approximately the end of the day, and then 2 a.m., which could be the end of my day if it's a long day. If I'm working on something into the night, 2 a.m. will probably be the latest. So I just want to make sure that I have it running twice, just to make sure that that it shuts down. So I'll walk us through the process of configuring my runbook the way that I configured it. I'm showing on the screen now the blog post that I followed, but there was one key difference in how I configure mine versus how this blog post walks you through, and that is that I used a user account to run my runbook versus this blog post walks you through using an application account. I think there are probably good reasons for using an application account. I tried that. I couldn't get it to work. And I got it to work with a user account. I could probably circle back through and get it to work with an application account, but just haven't put that effort into it. So I'm going to walk you through today how to configure it using a user account. So let me get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I need to create the account. So to do that, I'm going to go into the portal and choose Active Directory to get into my Active Directory, Azure Active Directory accounts. And I'm going to go to the Users tab. And I'm going to add a user, and I'll create a new user, and I'm going to call this VM Maintenance. Choose Next. We'll just call him VM Maintenance. Just create it as a standard user, and I will get a temporary password for that user. I'm going to copy that to my clipboard. We'll go ahead and close that up. Now I'm going to open up a new incognito window, and I'm going to go ahead and log in as this new user. It's going to prompt me to change my password, which I will do. Update my password and sign in. So now my credential is set. My next step is that I'll need to configure this user as a co-administrator of my Azure subscription. So to do that, I'm going to scroll down to Settings, and I'll choose Administrators, and then I'm going to choose Add. add in my user, select that user as a co-administrator. And you'll see the user is actually listed in here twice at the moment. It's because I did it earlier while preparing for this demo. So let's just remove the first one. There we go. Hopefully I removed the old one and not the new one, but we'll see what happens there. So my account is now a co-administrator of this account. I noted that seems pretty heavy-handed. I have read blog posts, Stack Overflow posts, and so forth about people who have stated that this is necessary, and I've actually tried to give this user a lower account privilege, and it was not successful. So this does seem to be necessary. So that should be what we need for our account. So next I'm going to go back to the portal admin page, and I'm going to go to automation accounts, and I'm going to add a new automation account. Click plus, and we will call this, I'll call it VM automation. And I'm going to add it to an existing resource group. I'm not really aware of why this matters, but I'll choose the same resource group as I do for all my others, and I'll leave the other default settings and choose create. Now it may take just a few minutes for the automation account to finish the creation process. For me, I had to click refresh on this automation, the listing of automation accounts. Once that appears, let's select it. Once the new automation account is open, the first thing we're going to want to do is go to assets, and then we're going to click variables, and we're going to add a new variable called Azure Subscription ID. Azure Subscription ID, and for that we of course are going to need our Azure Subscription ID, so I'll just go back to the portal. Go to my subscriptions, and I'm going to grab the Azure Subscription ID. Paste that in. Next, we're going to need to create a credential, which will be used to run the runbook. So I'm going to click Credentials, and then click Add Credential, and we're going to name this one Azure Credential. And I'm going to add in the VM maintenance account that I created earlier. Create that. So now we've created a variable and a subscription, and now our next step is going to be to create the runbook. So I'm going to choose Add Runbook. Oops, no, I'm not going to choose Add Runbook. I'm going to choose Browse Gallery, and the gallery, I'm going to choose Stop Azure Classic. Let's just see what that gives us. Stop Azure Classic VMs. And you'll notice that there's two of them. There's one that says PowerShell Workflow Runbook, and another one that says Graphical PowerShell Workflow. The Graphical PowerShell Workflow is the one that we need, so we'll choose that and then select Import. And I can accept the default name, choose OK, and we'll import it from the gallery. My next step is going to be to choose Edit, and there is a button for Test Pane, and it prompts me for parameters. The service name, it'll default, I guess, to the current service. The Azure Subscription ID and the name of the credential are both going to have defaults, which we configured a moment ago. You can see Azure Subscription ID is the variable that we just configured, and then Azure Credential is the credential that we just created. And when we're ready, we can just click Start to begin the test. I gotta scroll over a little bit here to see the results of the output. It takes a while for these to run, so I'm just going to pause the video while it runs. And when the workflow is completed, as you can see here, it gives us a little bit of output. In this case, it tells me that my virtual machines were already stopped, so there was no action taken. Had any of them been running, it would tell me that it would list out those that it had stopped. So let me close out of the task pane, and my next step is going to be to publish this work run book. So it'll prompt me, do I want to publish it? Of course I say yes. So now we have our run book created, our accounts are created, and we have tested our run book. So our next step is going to be to schedule it. So I'm going to choose, go back to the VM automation, and I will choose select the run book. And once the run book is open, I'll click schedule from the top, and it will say link a schedule to your run book. So I'll choose that. I'm going to create a new schedule, and in this case I'm just going to choose a one-time schedule. Of course you can choose once or recurring. I'll just choose once, and I'll have it fire off here in the next 20 minutes. So we'll choose 12:20 p.m. and I'm going to say create. Now, one trick is that simply creating the schedule, the first time I did this I thought I was finished, but you're not. All you have done at this point is created a schedule, but you need to link this run book to it. So now I've selected it and then choose OK, and now you should see the number of schedules increase here under the schedules listing. I'll open it, and now I can see that my run book is scheduled, and we'll wait a moment for that schedule to run to confirm that it's working. And to do that, I'm going to go back to my classic virtual machines, and let me just start up one of my smaller virtual machines here. It'll start up, and hopefully it'll be fully started by the time that schedule fires off. So let's go back to automation accounts, open that automation account, open the run book, and open the schedule, and we'll see it's set to fire off at 12:20, which is just about 5 minutes from now. They won't allow you to fire off a schedule, I think it's 5 minutes, any sooner than 5 minutes from the current date, so we'll wait just a moment for that to fire off. So now I can see that my schedule is listed as expired, which tells me that it's already run. And so if I go back to my classic virtual machines, I can confirm now that my virtual machine has been stopped. So that's the quick run through for creating a run book, which you can use to stop your virtual machines.